Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 12th Planning Commission meeting. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. Tuckfield, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Oliver,
Here.
Ms. Smith, Mr. Hardy,
Here.
Mr. Bentley, Mr. Spatafora.
Here.
Mr. Meyerly. Here. Mr. Tuckfield is present.
Yes, Mr. Bentley and Mrs. Smith both have excused absences.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Spatafora?
I will also make a motion to excuse Commissioners Bentley and Smith from all roll call votes this evening.
And I'll support that.
Okay, motion by Mr. Spatafora, supported by Mr. Meyerly to exclude Mr. Bentley and Ms. Smith from all roll call votes. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right, approval of previous meeting minutes. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if there's no deletions or corrections, I move the meeting minutes.
Okay, motion to approve the previous meeting minutes by Mr. Oliver,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Spatafora. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Approval of tonight's agenda. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if there's no further discussion, I'd make a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented.
And I'll support.
Motion by Mr. Tuckfield to approve tonight's agenda, supported by Mr. Meyerly. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. All right, on to old business. Site plan and special land use, one-step party store, located on the southwest corner of 21 Mile Road and Garfield, Section 31. Janan Kakos, petitioner, permanent parcel number 0831226-007. Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. The property is at 21 in Garfield, as you see on the screen behind you. They did come before you once before, and they asked to be tabled specifically to this meeting. That had to do with the fact that prior to coming to you, they were seeking a variance, but that variance got denied, so they had to redraw some of their concepts, and they were not ready for that meeting. They thought they would be ready for this meeting. They're not quite there. They are asking to be tabled to next week's meeting. Staff is comfortable with that. Actually, we got their final reviews in today, so they probably would have been okay going on this agenda, but they are asking to be on next week's agenda.
Okay. Does picture share in the audience?
I do not believe so.
Okay. All right, commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no further discussion, I would make a motion to table this item until our next meeting, which is
It's next week.
Next week, the 19th, I believe.
Yep.
Our meeting on the 19th, per the request of the petitioner.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tuckfield to postpone the site plan and special land use for one-step party store shop until the next meeting. By Mr. Tuckfield, seconded by Mr. Spatafora. Mr. Tuckfield, would you please call the roll?
Yes, I would vote yes. Mr. Spatafora.
Yes.
Mr. Oliver.
Yes.
Mr. Meyerly.
Yes.
Mr. Hardy.
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. On to new business. Rezoning from residential multifamily low density, R2L, to flex use, 51407 Romeo Plank Road, located a quarter-mile north of 23 Mile Road, west of Romeo Plank, Section 14, Stephen Lucci, petitioner, permanent parcel number 0817451-015. Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. The property is along Romeo Plank, as you see on the screen behind you. This is, again, just north of 23 Mile Road. They are requesting to be rezoned from R2L, or multiple family low density, to flex use. And the applicant did indicate that they are intending to use the property for a hair salon or a salon, and they're going to repurpose the existing residential structure to fit that. So looking at the land use surrounding it, again, it's currently R2L, and they are looking for a flex use rezoning. It's surrounded by some R2L as well as some office. One thing that what you don't see here, and hopefully you can see my cursor up here, is this larger property here has recently purchased this kind of finger-shaped portion of the property from the church located on the corner, and they have purchased this property here, and that house has actually been recently demolished. That's for a development that they are working on, a much larger development here. So even though some of this is zoned residential R2L, they are looking to redevelop that property as well, just so you're aware of that. When looking at the master plan, which is typically what we look at for a rezoning request, this is master planned flex use, as is much of the area around it, which is exactly what they're requesting. So it does in fact match the master plan. Here you see the intent, which does encourage options for multiple uses within the property, it being in the flex zone, but to create areas of convenient access for the daily consumer, which is essentially what they're suggesting they're going to use the property for, being a salon. There is a list, as you see here in the ordinance, that allows different uses within the property. However, all uses within the flex are treated as a special land use. So when they do come forward with a site plan for this property, a special land use would be attached to that. So just because it is potentially rezoned to flex, it does not necessarily permit all of these uses. None of them are permitted by right. They're all permitted via special land use. So there is still some control over what can and cannot go onto this property. That being said, it matches the requested flex land use, aligns with the master plan, and so staff is recommending approval at this time.
Okay. Is the petitioner in the audience?
I believe so, yes.
Would you please come up to the podium? Or not the podium, the table? Thank you. Get the microphone right by you there. Good.
Okay.
And state your name and address for us, please.
My name is Sonia Lucci, 49038 Dunhill.
Okay. Did you have anything you'd like to share?
We've been residents of Macomb Township for 23 years now. We have 4 children, and our kids go to Chippewa Valley schools. I've currently am operating my business out of my home, and we are excited to want to grow. And since our foundation has been here in Macomb Township, and we've built so many relationships through our children, and being a resident here, we just feel that this would be a great fit for our family, for our community, and for the people that I've served for so many years.
Okay. Commissioners, questions, comments?
How big is the property, like acreage wise?
I believe it's like maybe a little under 2 acres or 2 acres. Do you know, Josh?
I don't have it right in front of me, but I think that's correct. It's roughly 2 acres.
Okay, and it's your intention to take the existing building and then make a hair salon, your hair salon?
Well, we're waiting for a survey to be done on the property to see what our how the plot plan works and what we can work with. Ideally, it just depends on what our architect comes up with as far as design goes, and as far as finances goes. I would love to knock it down and build a beautiful home or a beautiful spa there, or a beautiful plaza development that we could use. It just depends on what we have to work with, and also financially what we can do. But as far as our home is kept, and what I love would be a beautiful spa for not only our clients, but obviously for our township as well. So we just have to see what we can do with the existing building, or potentially knock it down if that's not an option.
All right, anyone else?
so tonight is this zoning, and in the process, your research and the fact that possibly you could fix this and use it, or start with a clean slate. And you started from a house, working out of your own house,
Correct,
and now you've built to this?
correct.
That's very nice.
Thank
I
you.
enjoy seeing that small business expand, and it's a small business man's dream or small business lady's dream tonight.
Yes,
That's good for you.
thank you.
I have no other questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Oliver. Anyone else? Okay, all right.
Mr. Spatafore's got a question.
What's that? Oh,
I may
Mr.
real quick.
Spatafora, I'm
Good
sorry.
evening, Mrs. Lucci. Is it your intent, and I know, the rezoning request, it does look like it comports to the master plan. It allows for any one of number of uses, but is it your intent, I'm a little off the issue at point, that would come during, probably a site plan or special land use review and approval, but is it intent then to operate like in a commercial hair salon or spa setting at that new location, pending what your architect comes back with?
Yes, it is my intent. I'm not going to be just a sole proprietor at that location. Is that what your question is?
Well, then that would lead to another question. Would there be more than one business located there, or is it just a single business,
So my vision is
your vision?
is that it would be a single business, but I would have multiple people operating in that unit. So the way the spa salon works, you could either be an employee or you could be a subcontractor. So they would just rent space from me. And just depending on the layout, we would either have individual rooms for them or they would just be sharing workstations, if that makes sense.
This would all be a complete commercial establishment, and that's different from what you're doing now out of your home. Is that
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And you have no intent to be, to that space to be occupied as a residential dwelling at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
What do you anticipate, envisioning in the future, like a parking situation to look like, as best as you can think about it?
As far as a parking lot?
Oh, as far as parking, the number of patrons, hours, how, the planning commission oftentimes is concerned about traffic and traffic flows, and I know I'm a little bit ahead.
No,
but,
that's okay. That's a good
just something
question.
that we can keep in mind when it comes back again at some point, possibly. In the future.
Absolutely. So obviously, we would work in conjunction with all of that as far as traffic goes. Usually salon spa hours are from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's not what I work right now at home, but it would just depend on my staffing and what they want to accommodate. Mostly our services are one-on-one, so if I have 2 or 3 girls working at a time, I can't imagine more than 10 cars at a time there, unless we're having a special event.
Okay, and this would be looking to be like a regular hours operation as opposed to just as needed throughout the course of a week or a weekend?
Correct.
Okay. Continuous hours with probably continuous employees or other business patrons at that site?
Correct.
Potentially. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone? All right, then I'd like to open it to the public with a motion.
I'll make the motion, we open to the public.
Motion by Mr. Meyerly, seconded by Mr. Oliver. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to come up to the podium, you have 4 minutes to ask questions or share your thoughts about this item. Now would be your time. And then we take all of your concerns and comments and we save them to the end, and we ask Mr. Box to comment. So is there anyone that would like to speak? Anyone at all? Nobody? Okay. Well, come on up. Yeah, you gotta come up. You gotta give us your name and your address and all that good stuff.
Mary Verga, 17903 Cottonwood. I live in the subdivision right there, behind St. Anne's door. It sounds great. I'm happy
You
for
need
you.
to
I
address,
was-
ma'am, you need to address the
Oh,
board.
okay.
Yeah,
It sounds
please.
great. I'm happy for her. I was a small businesswoman. I just retired. But I want to know, what house is she talking about? Is she talking about that old house? Where exactly is this? That map is like, wow.
It's the red brick.
That house that has the sign rezoning in front of it? Is that-
Correct.
Okay, so you wouldn't wanna, she wouldn't wanna, she wouldn't wanna, work out of that. Obviously, for these new studio type, nail salons, hair salon things, they build brand-new buildings and, I mean, they are nice. They are nice. But that's 2 acres there? Anybody know?
Okay.
Is-
Well, remember, we save all the answers and we take all your questions and save them to the end.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it's 2 acres. Is it gonna have big, huge lights up there that are gonna shine into our subdivision? You know, I guess in our little subdivision, we're concerned about a lot of things that are going around us there. So it is a concern,
right,
you know, with lighting and all that.
right. And all that would be done through the site plan and all the departments that we have in the township. Right now, we're just looking at rezoning the property.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
that's all in the future.
Rezoning meaning allowing it to happen.
Correct.
And then they have to present plans that you then have to
Absolutely,
approve.
correct.
And then go through this whole process again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a long process. It's, you
Yeah,
know,
oh, I get that. I
from
get that.
starting tonight to, you know,
No, I get it.
patrons
I-
walking
I-
in the door.
I was in business in the town of Romeo, so I get having to ask all
Okay.
the legal questions. Can I? So, okay. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone? Nobody? Okay. All right, then I need a motion to close the public portion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Oliver,
I'll support.
seconded by Mr. Byerly. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Do we have any comments from commissioners or Mr. Box? Would you like to?
Sure. I just, with regard to our question about working out of the home, I believe the applicant indicated that it's possible that they could repurpose the house into a commercial structure, or they could tear it down and build a new structure. Yes, they would have to, I know the question was asked about parking. It would be just like any other commercial development, would require a paved parking lot. The number of parking spaces would be based on the square footage, and there's a whole table in the ordinance that requires all of that. And then with regards to the size of this property, yes, looking at this, it looks like it says 2.18 acres. I don't know that that is 100% accurate, because that may include part of the right-of-way that has since been dedicated, but yes, roughly 2 acres.
Okay. Mr. Tuckfield, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, to Josh, so the parcel to the west, you mentioned it's not current, I believe it is not currently flexed, it is R2L, and there's someone who's working on developing it. Are you anticipating them requesting a rezoning on that, and what type of a development is it? Is it a commercial, is it residential?
It's most likely going to be either a conditional rezoning or a PUD agreement
Okay.
that they would be coming forward with. So it would have commercial on the 23-mile side, with a residential component into the rear. But the reason, and again, if you look at this aerial, so this is the house we're talking about this evening. This is the house that they bought this property. That house has been demoed. That was so that their development could have access. I believe there was a similar development that came before the Planning Commission in 2018 or 2019, before I was here at the township. It's similar in nature to that.
Okay. All right, and then, just to confirm, the house that's currently between the subject site and I believe it's the dental office to the south, that is also master plan flex?
That's correct.
Okay. Has there been any interest in that or activity there?
I have not had anyone reach out about that home.
Okay, all right. So I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else that has a comment?
If I could, I'd just like to mention that for the record that we did have an email on our desk this evening from a C. Beckett regarding this. I think everybody had at their desk this evening. I think we've all read. So just for the record, we did receive that, and I appreciate getting it.
All right. Do we have a motion on this item?
If there's no further discussion from the planning commission, I'll go ahead and make the motion to recommend the approval of the rezoning from residential multifamily low density, that's R2L, to the flex use, FLX, of 51407 Romeo Plank Road. Stephen Lucci petitioner, and the permanent parcel number 08-17-451-015, based on the recommendation from the planning department. The department reviews discussion from the board and input from the petitioner.
Okay, recommendation by Mr. Spatafora to approve the rezoning for the residential multifamily low density to flex use on Romeo Plank. And I'll second that. Mr. Tuckfield, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Spatafora.
Yes.
Mr. Hardy.
Yes.
Mr. Tuckfield votes yes. Mr. Meyerly.
Yes.
Mr. Oliver.
Yes.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, comments on non-agenda items. We have a lot of folks in the audience, so is there anyone that would like to come up to the podium and share their thoughts? Anyone? Okay. Well, then we'll move on to commissioners' comments. Okay. Then I guess we'll go to the Macomb Township Board of Trustees Liaison Update with Mr. Charles Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had one meeting, October 23rd. A couple things, nothing crazy, but tax exemption for the DAPA company, and they went through our normal exemption process, and they're approved of that. We're making progress on our capital improvement for our water main loops. We've authorized $3.5 million for that, and believe it or not, it don't get you a lot today to replace stuff. And that was that. And in Public Works, they had a air compressor that caught on fire, and we had to make an emergency purchase.
Okay.
And that's kind of about it.
Yeah. All right. Is there something else,
Yeah,
Mr. Oliver?
Do you hear that?
I hear something, but I'm not quite sure what it is.
I hear something from like your side of the table.
Over this
You
way?
hear that? I hear it. Maybe does the audience hear something from that side of the table? Maybe Mr. Hardy, do you hear it better?
Well, it almost sounds like bells. I'm not sure, but
I
it
think
sounds like that.
it sounds like wedding bells to me.
Oh.
God, who's getting married here? Is someone getting married in this room?
Anyone?
Jeez,
Raise your hand if you're planning on.
it's a good idea. Oh, there we go. I had to do that, Aaron.
Fair enough.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And you too, Stephanie.
All right. All right, let's move on to ZBA update. On whatever you want to, besides the ZBA.
Well, ZBA wise, we had a meeting last Thursday, and three items. One item of interest, we had Sheetz gas station, so I believe we've seen a site plan for Yatuma Oil at Hall and Gratiot. I believe Sheetz is now interested in that parcel, so they requested a variance, or two variances technically. That has been tabled to another time. There was actually a motion on the floor to deny, and in the middle of the motion, the applicant requested a tabling. So that's going to another meeting, and we'll have more to update on that when that comes back. We also had a pool variance request, which we granted. We still continue to see a lot of those, so I'm glad that we're going to address that, or at least confirm what we want to do with our next ordinance update, because it's been something we've generally granted variances on for pretty much as long as I've been at the board, and it needs some confirmation of where we want to hold that line. So Those would be the only two things I really mentioned from that board meeting. I think it went pretty well. That board is working pretty well. We've had alternates for a couple of years now, and just looking back at the end of the year, we've used alternates probably half of our meetings this year, and it's been able to keep our board capacity at 5 members most of the time, which I think is pretty useful for us and better for the petitioners to have a full board that they're operating with. So things have been going pretty well over there, and then I would just say thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it. I know Stephanie's been here most of the meetings since we started going out, so I
That
think
was a
she.
clue, Aaron.
Yes, yeah, it was probably a clue. I think she actually postponed another meeting tonight. She had one somewhere else, and she said she had to be here for the first one after. So I appreciate her coming tonight. So I think she'll be here for more.
That was very nice. Good job.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Planning Department, Mr. Box.
Nothing major to report, other than we obviously have a meeting next week. And I believe both of the December meetings are lining up, that looking like we will be having meetings. So pretty full agenda moving forward.
All right. Then I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll support.
Okay. Motion by myself, supported by Mr. Meyerly. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight.